Hello and welcome to this Orlando Shakes special presentation on Facebook Live and YouTube, our live streamed Q&A with the creative team of Every Brilliant Thing. I'm Michael Laderman, the Director of Public Relations with Orlando Shakes, and on behalf of the entire Orlando Shakes team, welcome to our 33rd season. Tonight, sit back, relax, and learn about the people behind the scenes of our first production of the season, Every Brilliant Thing, which kicks off tomorrow night in our Murchison Theater. Also, we would love for you to join in on the conversation from wherever you are. Leave us your questions about the production in the comments section, and we will try to get to a few of them. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce to you the creative team of Every Brilliant Thing. Joining me tonight for this presentation are three amazingly talented individuals. First, let me introduce to you the director of Every Brilliant Thing. Please welcome Ann Herring.
Hello, welcome.
Hi, Ann. Next, let me introduce to you our scenic designer. Please welcome Kurt Bippert.
Hello there.
How are you tonight, Kurt?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much.
And finally, please welcome to the screen our sound designer, Britt Sandusky. Hello, Britt.
Hello, everyone.
Thank you all so very much for taking the time to join us this evening. Ann, I would like to start with you. You've said that Every Brilliant Thing is an amazing show that will have you laughing, thinking, and remembering all the brilliant things that there are in the world.
Indeed.
When you tell somebody for the first time about Every Brilliant Thing, how do you describe it for them?
Well, my favorite is to simply say it's a comedy about depression, because those seem like polar opposites, but we all know that they're not. They're very, very intertwined. And then the other thing, if they want to know more, then I talk about how participatory it is with the audience, how every performance is different because every audience is different, and what the actor gets from each audience is of course different. And so it keeps it very spontaneous and unique.
Before we move on, we have another guest coming on in who I'm going to pass off the interview to. He's our artistic director. Everybody, please welcome Jim Helsinger. Hello, Jim.
Hi, guys. Sorry I was running a little bit late, picking up my son who is at rehearsal for another play. So plays all over.
Live theater.
Hi, all. So Ann telling us a little bit about the play. Then tell us about the character and what the character's going through a little bit, and then a little bit about maybe audience participation with the show.
Sure. So when we meet the character, she is reflecting on her life growing up with her mom, who suffered from depression. Since she was, she first talks to us about her childhood when she was 7. Mm-hmm. And so we learn about how she, as a girl, tried to help mom out by cheering her up and making a list of every brilliant, fabulous thing in the world that she could think of. And they were our everyday things, like rainbows and ice cream and things that are fabulous to a 7-year-old. As the play goes on, and it is very much as is Orlando Shakes' style and mission, it is very interactive. So the actor breaks that fourth wall continuously and talks directly to the audience and shares her story with them. And so during the course of the show, as she grows up in her memories, she invites certain members of the audience to portray her vet, or her guidance counselor who has a sock puppet, because who doesn't need a sock puppet in play, and her first boyfriend. Mm-hmm. And as I was saying, in the fact that those are portrayed by volunteers from the audience, it's different every night. And then the main audience participatory thing is that as our audience arrives, each person is given a piece of paper with a number and a brilliant thing from her list. And so as she goes through the list in telling the story, she'll call out a number, and whoever has that piece of paper, that number on their piece of paper, shouts it out. So we keep the house lights up pretty much for the show, because it's really an ensemble piece, even though there's only one actor on stage.
So I think for our audiences, one of the things, if there's a different person playing the boyfriend or the vet or the father every night, how do you rehearse and how does the actor prepare for essentially an improv, unscripted section?
Well, holy moly. Anybody who's watching from Central Florida knows that this is a style of theater that we've been doing here for many years, since Disney and Universal opened. It's that idea of you have a script and you have a structure, but if you're engaging the audience, you can't really predict exactly where it's going to go. And so Suzanne O'Donnell and I, the actors, worked very hard on finding the through line, the emotional through line and the arc for the character that allowed for a variety of twists and turns from the audience and unique responses. It's a big experience of yes and now I'm going to tell you the rest of my story. But that's what makes it so special.
You said in the beginning the show is a comedy about depression, which I think is a very accurate description, but it touches on mental health issues that many of us go through. And speaking for myself, depression was not a thing that I really had experienced deeply until this pandemic. And I think so many people that didn't know that part of their lives, or that could be a part of their lives, are now experiencing it. So although there's plenty of laughter in the show, what should audience expect or be prepared for as far as depression or places they can reach out to that we're providing or stuff like that?
Yeah, well, in our character's journey, one of the things she wants to learn as much as she can about what her mom's going through. So she does research, and she finds that there are support groups and that there are guidelines for how to deal with depression in the media and in your family. And so we share those resources with our audience before and after the show. We will have some talkbacks where our health partner, Advent Health, will bring counselors and medical professionals in to talk to the audience afterwards if you want to stick around. So yes, very definitely there is a serious side to it. And I think the takeaway from that serious side is get the information, ask for help. And the big takeaway that the character learns in the arc of the show is that she needs other people.
Yeah, I think that let's dwell on that a little bit. So
right.
At the end, she goes to a support group.
A support group, right? Because she, as a kid, she goes to this counselor who counsels her through a sock puppet, which is a pretty common modality of therapy. But of course, as she's an adult, now she needs to talk to other adults about her journey. And so, yeah, she does end up going to a support group. She does end up getting help. She does end up realizing that she needs other people, and that living in the world and being part of the world is very much a part of her health, her mental health, and how she deals with her sadness as well.
We're seeing some video running right now, and one was an actor coming on the stage, or an audience member coming onto the stage and sitting on either end of a very long bench.
Yeah, it's an 8-foot bench, if you want to know the truth, because if you put one person on each side, that allows for 6 feet in between.
Maybe we should segue just a little bit into how the play works during a pandemic and COVID precautions, and what the audience can expect and know about the way we're producing and trying to make this a safe environment.
Right. As written, it's intended, or most often done, in what we would call a black box theater, so that it's a room with chairs pretty much on all sides and very little set. And as written, the actor, the character, is up close and personal with the audience members, sits next to them in the audience, invites them up on stage, can physically touch them, hand them things. Well, in our world of COVID, of course, none of that is okay. We do have a contract with the Actors Equity Association, and they have stipulated that our actor can be unmasked as long as the audience is masked and as long as she stays at least 6 feet away from any audience member at all times. So, and for the COVID reasons also, we decided we've moved all of our shows, as you know, Jim, into the Margeson Theater because it's a larger space and allows us for more distance between people. So in the world of COVID, we had to devise ways where she could be sitting, for instance, on a car seat with her dad driving her to the hospital, but be 6 feet away.
Right.
Just the 8-foot bench.
And I think one of the things that's entertaining about that is her saying, at 6 years old, this was what the car seat of a giant heavy Impala felt like. And
right.
My parents had an Impala, and it did seem like a yacht.
And you know, so yeah, we've come up with ways to ensure the safety for our actor and our audiences in that 6 foot way. But the truth is, in the Margeson, and the other thing we've done in the Margeson is to make it more intimate. We have walled off the upstage right and left seats. So there is an abbreviated side section, which makes it a much more shallow thrust. It's usually a rather deep thrust. But the truth is, once you get into the Margeson, you need space between your actors for it to seem intimate. And so you can see both of them because it is such a large space. So it actually isn't a hindrance to have an intimate scene with our actor and an audience member 6 feet apart, because in the Margeson, it looks like they're having an intimate scene.
Right.
Because it's a space.
So the actor is fully vaccinated.
Yes.
And as is everybody at Orlando Shakes.
True.
Everybody on the staff is PCR tested once a week.
Once a week.
The actor is unmasked today. We got tested today. The actor is unmasked on the stage, and there's a tape line around the stage letting you show what that 6 foot distance is. And then for our audience, they're masked. That's a city ordinance right now in any case, and we're a city building. And then I think we should probably let people know who are going to see this in the future. Starting October 1, we're following the Dr. Phillips Performing Arts Center, and audience members will show either a proof of a test within the last 72 hours, or in lieu of that, they can show a vaccination card. So that's coming up October 1st. So either get your test before you come see the show, or take a photo of your vaccination card on your phone so you have it with you, or bring the vaccination card with you, because I don't want somebody to show up and then like, oh gosh, I left it in my other purse or something, you know. And if that does happen and you bought a ticket, we'll put you into another show. We'll make sure you can come see it. But starting October 1, not this weekend, but next weekend, that'll be starting. And then also, Anne was talking about the being in the Margeson Theater. I'd love to bring our set designer in and talk a little bit about why we're in the Margeson Theater and what exactly we're doing about it. So Kurt, I just want to start with, as the producer, we made a decision months ago that we would not perform in our Goldman Theater, which is a much smaller theater, only seats 125, that we would do our whole season in the Margeson. So we're essentially doing a show that would have been in the Goldman, which only seats 125, but is in the Margeson, which typically seats 325. So how did we make this space intimate, like the Goldman, and what can people expect when, as far as when they see the set? And I should add, another reason we were in the Margeson is it's larger. It has a great number. It's 18 air exchanges per hour in it. So the COVID restrictions of making sure there's a lot of air exchanges and a lot of room in the space is available to us in the Margeson. So introduce us a little bit to the set.
Yes, well, it's quite unique as far as I know in the history of the Margeson, that we've literally cut the theater in half.
Yes, we've never done that.
We've never done that before, so that's a first, and that was quite interesting. So in order to, and it serves the purpose to actually, as we've mentioned, this is a very intimate play, and you'll see by the illustration here, you can see where we've actually cut it off there at the steps. And if anyone's actually familiar with the Margison, they'll know, it actually goes back quite a bit. So we still have a thrust stage here. So in order to, now this is a flat and a curtain background. Now we couldn't actually have the curtain right the way across because it would have interfered with our AC, our air conditioning, because when that kicks in, you would have seen the whole thing bellowing and waving around. And so we've actually put a split in the middle there, but this also serves as an entrance and an exit for the actor.
And then I'm sure our audience is looking at what is behind you and going, where is he in the theater? Just this is your home in the prop shop. You just want to tell us a touch about what we have and what we're seeing.
Yeah, well, as you can see, my prop shop is quite a busy place. There's all sorts of things in here. It's a treasure trove of odds and oddities. I've got even a dentist's contraption here that we used in our last play that we did at the lake. So the little shop of horrors. Now it's quite a, I don't know if I can actually move this over to, but yeah, I've got everything, including the dentist's chair. So, but even working in this condition, it gives me a lot of inspiration.
Sure. Now, one of the things in the rendering that I saw, if you want to bring that back up
onto the stage and focuses more on the actor, but also after this design, it occurred to me that, what is the reason behind these lights? Why are they even there? And my rationale was that each light represents a brilliant thing, which actually can light up your life if it's that way. So there is a reason behind it. So, and also it also serves as a lighting effect as well.
Right. So when the audience comes in and sees the pretty lights hanging, all the different lights that she's had above her in her life or brilliant things, what's behind that, so that our Facebook Live audience can think of, is that actually part of its purpose is to bring your eye line down to where the actor is. Am I right?
That's right. Obviously, everybody knows if you look up into the grid of a theater, you're going to see hanging lights and wires and all sorts of things going on there. So this actually helps to draw the eye down and focus very much on the actor, because this play is very much a lot of talking, a lot going on, and you want to not miss it.
Yeah. So we blocked off half the theater. We brought the eye line down, and then there's a paint line around the stage for the 6-foot distance from all the audience members as well. And then she has, it looks like a divan on one side. I think records play in a lot. We have a record player on the stage. Is that right, Kurt?
That's correct. It's actually a functioning record player. I think it's from the late 50s, early 60s. If anyone's familiar with those, they were like little suitcases that you could carry around. It was your first portable record player.
Yeah, not quite the close and play. But of that era, yeah, sure. So talking about the record player and music, I think that moves us towards Husky onto the stage if we could, and ask a little bit about the music of the play and where it's coming from and what we're going to hear during the course of this. We hear some different styles of music during the course of the play. What are we going to hear and why are we going to hear it, Brett?
So, just to kind of speak to the music of the play a little bit. This is a unique show for us, a unique experience, a little different from what we normally encounter. So the approach was a little different from my end of things. Typically, I will have a very clear set of songs and cues that I would think will help tell the story. But in this case, I really just kind of laid out a roadmap early on in the process, in the rehearsal process, to give us a kind of a roadmap to follow. And then our wonderful director, as well as Suzanne, had plenty of input, because this musically needs to be shaped a little more toward the individual performing. So as rehearsals moved on, some of these song choices changed. Things that we do run into in the show is she's reminiscing about her childhood and how she was able to determine her father's mood based on the type of music that was playing. So we had definitely some great fun exploring what that is and how to make that have some emotional shock to it, if you will. There's even a mention of music that sounds like the instruments are falling down the stairs. Which, if you listen to enough freeform jazz, you can certainly.
It's a funny moment in the play, which is if it sounds like all the instruments are falling down the stairs, and then you hear a piece of jazz, then you go, well, if I was 7 years old, that's probably what I think it would. So her father is a jazz lover, right? And we hear that, and then she's doing more music of the 70s and the 80s, as she's growing up. So what are just a couple songs that we're going to hear that we can look forward to?
Well, we'll certainly hear What I Like About You, which I think is a fantastic moment in the show. And it gives us a moment to kind of break away from a little bit of talking about how these wonderful things help bring us out of a depression and give us some levity, some fun moments with the audience where there's, I don't want to give it all away, but there's some physical but distant interaction with the audience based on that song. And something else that was interesting and challenging and always fun for sound design is at the very end, we do have some magic within the record player. And that becomes something that is sourced and sounds like it is coming from the record player because it is. And it helps kind of lead us through as we get closer and closer toward the end of the show.
That sounds great. So I'm going to kind of circle back to everybody if I could, and just say, if you could tell the audience one thing before they came to see the show, you're the special Facebook Live audience, be looking for this, or this is why you should come, or this is a moment in the play. What's something that is a special moment for you, or something you would love for an audience member to know?
Well, all right. There are two moments in the play when a character is being portrayed by an audience member. When our character asks the audience character a question. Well, you ask an open-ended question and you're going to get any variety of answers. And our actor knows that we need to thread that needle and get back to the next plot point, but it is every night interesting to see when that. So was this what? Did you? Should I? That the answer to that question is really fun. It's a fun moment on stage to see the actors' wheels turn and go, okay, recalibrate. Yes, and that's why. So that's just fun because it's live and it's spontaneous. That's why we like live theater.
Sure. I think that there, with you saying that, I think there are moments where it feels a little bit like we're not at Orlando Shakes and we're at SAC Comedy Lab.
Yeah.
And we have a sketch and the actor is trying to work those details in that must be in the sketch, but in a live environment, and we don't exactly know what's going to happen next. Yeah.
Right.
Great. Britt, what do you want an audience member that's going to come? What's something you would love for them to know before they were going to come?
I think the most amazing thing about this show is that every show is unique. So I would tell an audience member, a friend of mine, if you want to come see a show that no one else is going to see, and it's kind of going to be your show for you and your audience, this is the one to see. And the other thing that really strikes me about this show and makes me just love it is that it kind of reinforces the thought to me that the greatest things in life, the best things in life, are free. This list of brilliant things, they're mostly, if not all, the little things that are free that are just there for you to appreciate if you would just open your eyes.
Yeah, I hear you. I think it is such a unique, every night, everybody in the cast, except for the one person, is going to be different, right? The father, the vet, the characters that Anne were bringing up, they're all going to be different every night, and whatever they say will be unique to just that evening and your group of people. Yeah, I think that's very true. Kurt, if you were telling people, one thing to think about the show or come about the show, what would
Well,
you say?
I mean, I'm going to tag on to all of you there, Britt, as well, with how unique it actually is, and that you almost, I mean, I'm quite amazed how the actor can remember numbers and words at the same time. It's just, it's quite incredible. But yes, I think it's going to be so enjoyable because it's so unpredictable how it's going. I mean, we know the timeline. We know how it's going to begin. We know it's going to have a middle and an end. But what happens during the show, we don't know. It's an unknown. But it brings some laughter, along with sadness as well.
Yeah, we don't have Suzanne O'Donnell, the actor, with us tonight because she's prepping for the show right now. But I do think that she felt one of the biggest obstacles in the memorization was all the numbers of all the brilliant things. She has to be, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but also 777,777, 123,651. And if she ever gets it wrong, then the audience member, because they've got the number written on their piece of paper, we're in trouble. That hasn't happened so far, but you're right, Kurt. I think that was a real, she's got to keep in her brain, what's the arc that I'm following? What are the lines I'm supposed to have? What's the number that I'm going to say? And what's the improv I'm going to do with this person in the audience who might say anything at all? It's very warm and inviting for everybody who participates. It's a very safe space to be in. But I think that's part of what really makes it fun.
Yeah, I want to stress that all the audience participation is very safe, both physically and emotionally. It is not, if anybody's concerned about, I'd hate audience participation, it's not dangerous. It's not something that is embarrassing to anybody in any way. It is all very life affirming.
I'm going to do just a little housekeeping tips about the show and how to get tickets, etc. But I want to come back to you all in just a moment with letting us know either one brilliant thing from the show that you like, a quote, or a brilliant thing of your own that you just think is brilliant about life. I think that two things that are so useful and educational, particularly when a lot of us are trying to fight pandemic depression, is that thinking about the beautiful things that are in the world helps. And talking to other people, reaching out to other people. We're not an island. If you are depressed and you need to call somebody or be with somebody, there are resources. There's a suicide hotline. There are other resources that Advent Health, our health partner, is providing for you to have a place to be able to talk to, a support group, because you're not alone. You are not alone. Every Brilliant Thing is in previews tonight. It opens tomorrow night, Friday. It runs Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday night at 7:30. We have matinees Sunday at 2 o'clock, and that's when we're doing the talkbacks. If you're interested in attending one of the talkbacks, you'd want to come to this Sunday afternoon. It runs till October 16th. You can order tickets on the website, orlandoshakes.org, or call our box office directly at 407-447-1700, extension 1. We definitely want to thank our presenting sponsor, Advent Health, who's been such a great partner throughout the entire pandemic with advice on how to be dealing with COVID at each step and each thing that we've learned. Our first talkback is with Advent Health's Dr. Lewis Allen on this Sunday. And then just things to remember for everybody is wear your mask when you come, bring your mask when you come, and starting October 1st, you want to bring your negative COVID test or either your actual vaccination card or a photo of it. So basic stuff about the show, and I think the website stuff is all going below me here too as well. So let's go back to our group, and what's a brilliant thing either in the show or in your life that you would want to share with our Facebook Live audience?
Okay, I'll go. I'm going to give one for each. In my life, the brilliant thing right now is cataract surgery. I've had one done. I have the other one done next week, and I'm so excited. Thank you for science. And in my life and in the show, I think, in all seriousness, music is a brilliant thing. It can help raise you. It can help be catharsis. It can make you wonder. It is one of my favorite things about the show is that there is a soundscape of music throughout it that really informs the journey.
Music heals.
Yeah.
Conversation heals. Community heals. Britt, what's a brilliant thing?
So mine is one of the ones from the show, and it just really struck a chord with me because I have not thought about this since I was 6 years old, and that was laughing so hard that you shoot milk out of your nose. I think that's something we all did when we were in elementary school, goofing off at the lunch room, and when I heard it, it was literally one of those things that I have not thought about since the last time it happened. So I just really love that one, and it made me smile when I was reading through the script the first time. One of the brilliant things I think in my life that sounds very trivial, but it's something that helps me relax and get rid of stress is something as simple as pinball machines. I absolutely love them, and it's just kind of my brilliant thing. I'm obsessed with them, so that's mine.
Great. Kurt, how about you?
Well, personally, if we're going to talk about medical science, I had my hip replaced a few years back.
Me too.
Yeah, and it was the most brilliant thing that ever happened to me. I suffered so much pain for so many years, and I don't know why I didn't do it beforehand, but I thought that's brilliant, that they can put a piece of metal in your leg and you can walk freely again. Is just amazing. The show itself, I just think it's a brilliant show, and I think in my life again, I feel that it's a brilliant thing that I'm able to express my artistic tendencies and to create something for other people to come and watch and enjoy. I'm very thankful for that.
That's beautiful, Kurt. And for our audience members, we have kiosks set up in the lower lobby and the upper lobby with Post-it notes. So after you see the show, you can write your own brilliant things, and it's getting quite full. It's getting quite full from the preview audiences that we've had so far. So when you come, you're going to hear brilliant things. You're going to get a chance to say a brilliant thing. Then you're going to get a chance to write one down and put it on the wall. And we hope fight this depression that so many people are suffering from either at some point in their lives or right now as they're going through the pandemic. I think we're a little over on time, so I want to say thank you all, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. And we'll see you, audience members, at the show.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much.